I don't know if Bunker's your favorite film that you made in high school. You have Part-Time Fool was an excellent music video. I think it was definitely right there with the one that won that year. You could have easily won for that. I remember that being an agonizing decision that we had to make, which is probably my least favorite part because it's like no one knows how close they came kind of thing. But that was a great film. Bunker, really one of my favorite, if not favorite, PSA we've ever received, just in the sheer creativity and impact that you delivered. And I really wanted to mention during my intro that you did so much with so little. If you really think about what you had to work with there and what you made it seem like. I know I remember the Proustian effect. I don't know, but I just keep coming back to Bunker because you provided me with such an awesome tool for teaching. And that's why I take that film around. Was I accurate in my description as I remember Mr. Combs telling me that you had your lead actor like rolling around in a ditch?
Yes. Yeah, definitely. That was Garen Tidwell, who was like one of my best friends growing up, and he started doing theater in high school. And so it was like an easy choice, but he's also like absolutely incredible. And he's in Europe now doing like theater acting. And he's part of like this theater troupe and doing Shakespeare and all sorts of plays, like touring around Europe. So he's got it in him, obviously. Like that was all him. I didn't have anything to do with how good he was. But yeah, I found, it's like a sort of World War II or World War I era Bunker and this soldier. And I found all the pieces of the outfit and, the helmet and fake gun and all this stuff. And just worked with him. Like we spent a lot of time like before filming, just like putting him in the costume. And it's like, okay, like what is this emotion? Like, you are terrified, like, you're on a real battlefield. And originally like we thought that it might be a longer piece and not a PSA. Like it wasn't supposed to be a PSA at first. It was going to be, like a typical like narrative film. And like, and the idea came from Combs, and he had like some old story in college about like, oh, what if like, a kid who like uses his imagination to like escape like a bad household or bad friends or bullying or, sort of like using a kid's imagination. And so Combs and I spent a lot of time like paring down that concept to be, what it became. And yeah, everything just kind of lined up and works. Like I agree with you. It's definitely my favorite piece I did in high school. Even though like it's not the longest or like the most, it doesn't have the best like dialogue because there's like almost no dialogue. It doesn't have, all these things, but I think it was certainly the most emotional and the most impactful in every way. So yeah, I mean, even now, like I'm very proud. That's probably, having hindsight, that's like the one thing that I'm still proud of as like, technically, narratively, emotionally, like even with like years of kind of growth, I'm like, that still works. Like it's still emotional.
Yeah. And I know it can be tough looking back on work you made when you were younger, seeing the flaws and knowing how much you've grown. But I think you're exactly right. And I think I almost feel a little bad, like saying, like, I want to talk about Bunker, right? It's for exactly the reasons you describe. It's short and it's a PSA, but then I'm like, no. If something is really good, then it's important to talk about it. And I think if you watch the opening sequence, because it's really sort of two different worlds that you're presenting, that opening sequence with the guy, with the actor and the soldier in the bunker is a lot like the motion work that you're doing now. It's really about setting up tone and making an introduction. Yeah. We know nothing about it. Like I had to make a guess. Is it World War I or World War II? I didn't really know, but I know it's a period piece and that it's a long time ago because the details are authentic. And I know what the tone is. And that's really all I need to know because that helps drop the hammer when you transition to the other scene. But it's such a great tool for teaching so many things. And it's all the things that young filmmakers typically get wrong, right? A lack of authenticity. Well, how did you make it authentic? Because we didn't see that much. So we couldn't see the flaws. It was believable because the lighting was so low. And then what we did see, you made sure it was right enough. right? Because I really care only emotionally about what he's going through. So I'm not even worried about the details, but they look good to me. They look real. Down to the wound on his face, like you obviously had a makeup artist do a really good job on. And then the rest is just carried by sound design, right? I mean, it's just like you feel like you're in that bunker and have to go back out, and you don't want to. And then all of a sudden to transition to what it's really about, that there are all kinds of battles in this world, and some are really tough on kids. It was powerful. And I'm glad that you and Mr. Combs, for whatever reason, decided to go down the road to make that film, because I think I'll be using it to teach for a long time.
Thank you. Yeah, I think you're exactly right. We wanted to show the least as possible, because like at least I was very aware of our flaws and lack of budget and talent and all these things. Like I knew that we could do this little bit, but at first, like I said, it was going to be a longer narrative thing, and I was thinking about how do we show him on a battlefield? Like, are there going to be like helicopters and like other soldiers? Like, how are we going to do VFX to like shoot bullets and stuff? And I was just like, all right, there's no need to do that. We can still tell the same story without kind of showing our hand. Like, hey, we're high school filmmakers. We, don't have a whole VFX team. We don't have like a full costume team. All these things. So it's like, yeah, how can we show as least as possible while still making it clear that he is a World War II soldier and he's badly wounded and he's running from a battlefield. And I think a lot of that came from the acting. Like I thought it was completely believable. I remember filming it and like feeling the emotion while filming. I'm like, man, this guy's like actually terrified of being in here. So yeah, that helped a lot. With a worse actor, I don't think it would have the same effect.
Yeah, and that's another thing. It's all showing and really no telling, and that is power in film. And it's like you were forced to do it, maybe, but whatever it is, it worked. And I think you'd be selling yourself short not to give yourself a lot of the credit too, because you had to come up with this.
Thank you.
You had to figure out how to pull it off. You had to figure out how to get that performance out of that actor. And it really is a terrific little film, and it's definitely worth talking